So for my first Booky vlog, as my darling Lindsay calls it, I was originally going to tackle a trilogy of books that I love, a young adult trilogy of books. No, not the Hunger Games. I was going to do the Hollow trilogy by Jessica Verde, which is a fantastic trilogy, but I'm going to save that for the next one. The book I decided to actually talk about this round is called Paranormal State, My Journey into the Unknown, written by one of my heroes, and one of my idols, and one of the nicest people I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, Mr. Ryan Buell from A&E's Paranormal State. There is a co-writer credit on this one, but it is Ryan's story told the way he wanted it to be told, so I'm going to focus more on that. It is an autobiography. It is Ryan explaining his life and what drove him to the paranormal side of things and what drove him to be the person he is now and to live his life out in the public the way he does, defending not only the victims of any paranormal activity but the art of paranormal investigation on its own. He's very determined not to change anybody's opinion of anything, but to make sure that they're open-minded enough to at least listen, which I think is incredibly awesome. So, it starts out with Ryan summarizing some of his early years. For those who ever met Ryan, we all know that he doesn't talk about what happened to him as a kid so much. You hear bits and pieces, but the sum up is he was haunted as a child in terrifying ways, and it drove him to find out more about what he could. He had a hard time because, after a while, the members of his church, his family, everyone decided that the best approach to take to such things was to ignore it. And maybe it'll go away. It was a young kid making up stories or whatever. And he had to deal with that in his own way. And he fought with many of the same issues that a lot of us do, where, he was angry and upset. And he chose to channel a lot of this into making a difference. When he founded PRS, he was a freshman in college. He was just this young kid who was out to make a difference. And if you ever meet Ryan, he has a presence. He's got a very quiet kind of assurance about him. He's very gentle, and he's very open-minded, and he's very... I'd like to say sure of himself, but I don't want it to seem like he's egotistical or anything. Now, that's not to say he's not opinionated. He's got strong opinions on everything. Anyone who follows his Twitter, as I confess I do, he's opinionated on politics and where things should go and wants to change the world. It's not even so much that he just wants to change the way people look at the paranormal, but he wants to change the entire universe. But back to the book, before I start going on to a fan rant, because I adore the man. He's fantastic. The book rings with that quiet presence, that quiet confidence he carries in himself. And he doesn't shy away from any subject, really. He talks openly about feeling depressed and unsure of what to continue with his life. He speaks openly of the friendship he has with Sergei. And Sergei and his friendship is very similar to my relationship with Lindsay, where you can tell that there is such a deep love for each other that it's phenomenal. And that they will have each other's back through thick and thin. They have had each other's back through thick and thin. And the way he talks about his fellow PRS, Paranormal Research Society people, is he holds all of them in the highest regard. And he has so much faith in everybody. He's still in touch with so many that have left. He's supportive of everybody's career moves. And he's made lasting friendships with Sergei and Alfie. He had the ability, they toured, they stuck together again, doing something that they thought was important and sharing interest and meeting their fans and being involved, which is fantastic. Writing this book, Ryan also came out. Not that he was gay, but he came out that he was bisexual, and tackled the issues that he felt around that based on being raised Catholic, being raised in one way, and dealing with all the emotions and the fallout that comes from not only admitting such a decision to yourself, but admitting it to the people you care about. He faced professional criticism for it because in his line of work he deals with a lot of the clergy, and there were a lot of priests that were very upset about it. And one of my favorite parts in the book was where he had called Lorraine Warren, another one of my heroes, fantastic lady. I wish I could meet her one day. She's just amazing. Gets on the phone. She goes, "Ryan, I have heard terrible, terrible things about you. Are they true?" And he comes back to her saying, "Yes, Lorraine, I'm bisexual. I don't see a difference between guys and girls and all this." And she's like, "Oh, honey, I don't care that you're bisexual. What I heard was," and somebody he had worked with before that he had confided in had gone to the priests and gone to everybody else accusing Ryan of terrible, terrible things. And when you read what he wrote about this entire phase in his life, it strikes you as so not just personal in the sense that he was writing it, but it makes you feel like you're involved, that you just want to reach out and help him in some way. He doesn't back down from the scary subjects. He doesn't back down from the fallouts. When the book was written, they were still filming Paranormal State. It ended after 5 seasons, which is a huge, huge thing. And then they went on tour, and Ryan helped out with American Ghost Hunter, the movie, which I am yet to see, but I am looking forward to it, very much so. But this book struck me as something different. I've read a lot of autobiographies, I've read a lot of biographies, I've read a lot of books that have a lot of fact in them that have been Hollywoodized, that have been played with in some way, shape, or form. And Ryan's degree was journalism. He loves to write, and you can see that in the way the whole book is crafted, the loving detail, the way he looks back. He takes an unflinching look at himself and then opens himself up for all of his fans to feel like they know him. I had the privilege of meeting Ryan and Sergi and Elfie in October 2011. And I had a good conversation with all of them. And at the end of the night, when I was patiently waiting for Ryan to finish with what I like to call the groupies, the cute little teenage girls that, just fawn over him, "Oh my god, you're so hot, can I have a picture?" Blah, 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 blah. And I waited, and I took a picture with him after. And after we took the picture, Ryan and I talked for a minute. And I had relayed a couple stories during the VIP event that I'd been lucky enough to be a part of. And I told him some things about my childhood, and I told him some things about being, in a haunted environment and some experiences I had had. And I invited him to come check out my little dinky town in Ontario because we have such a rich history and paranormal stuff happens here all the time, and we're in a town run by the church, so it doesn't really get talked about much, and he was actually genuinely interested in what I had to say. And he was very welcoming and very friendly, and I hopefully wait for the day where I'll be able to meet him again and have a conversation, because Ryan, I still owe you a beer. And you probably don't remember that part of the conversation, and that's fine, but I'm telling you right now, I still owe you a beer, so the next time you're in the Toronto area, let me know. But the other reason his book touched me in a lot of ways was when I read about his struggle about coming out to the people he cared about, it related very much so to my own debate about the matter. Being raised in a very strict Irish Catholic family, being bisexual or gay is a big no-no for the most part. And trying to explain to my family that I don't see a difference between boys and girls, and that I firmly believe you love a person, not a gender, is something that I still haven't officially done. Although this is going on the internet, so I suppose everybody will know by now. But reading his book was like, okay, you know what? If he can do it, and he can do it in the public eye, then what am I so afraid of? I mean, yeah, so I'm bisexual. What difference does that make? Really, in this day and age, it doesn't make a difference. So, anyone who has an interest in the paranormal should read it. Anybody who has an interest in Paranormal State should read it. Anybody who's a fan of Ryan should read it. But not only that, anyone who has ever dealt with major adversity and has had struggle in their day-to-day life and still managed to fight and stay true to who they are and stay true to their motto, then read it. Pick it up. Check it out. He's honest, he's unflinching, and he opened his heart to anyone of us who wanted to listen, which I think is one of the coolest things anybody could have ever done. So it's Paranormal State, My Journey into the Unknown. Check it out. You won't be sorry you did. And Ryan, I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being the hero to me that you are, and for being the role model that you are. And, let me know if you ever want that drink.